What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for a transfer show. And there is a big update because if everyone thought or everybody hoped, I'm gonna say hope, not thought, because probably everybody believed the story about Hojlund, and everybody was maybe hoping that that story, got away, but it's not going away. It's actually gaining pace, and right now it's set to be some sort of mega deal where we are gonna include players to bring Hojlund to the club because he is Giuntoli's absolute main target in the summer for the striker position. Not, in team aspect, but for the striker position, he is the main target. However, there's also an update on Kolo, which might be confusing if you believe that Hojlund is actually really the main target for Giuntoli. And also there's an update on Veiga, an interesting one. Actually there are two updates on Veiga, but one is extremely interesting because of the Club World Cup. But before we get into it, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about somehow Hojlund being the solution for our strikers not scoring goals. Okay, so we need a striker in the summer because Vlahovic is going. We know that. I think that's well documented. He's gone. Vlahovic is gone. We need a striker. Now, why is Vlahovic going? One, the wages. He's earning too much money. Two, he's not scoring enough goals. Now, if you are thinking rationally and you're sit back and you're like, what do we need since we don't have a striker who scores goal? What about scores goals? Excuse me. What about a striker who actually scores goals? And somehow Giuntoli came to Hojlund, and he's like, Hojlund is a player that's gonna score us a lot of goals. A player who, if I'm not mistaken, this season went 12 games without scoring goals, maybe more, without scoring a goal, 12, 14, I don't know. However, his goal scoring record is shocking. His goal scoring record is even shocking for a backup striker. It's been that bad. Forget about the goals. And actually, it's insane to me to say forget about the goals for a number 9. Think about the play. I don't know how many Man U games if you watch. I've watched quite a few. Don't ask me why, but I did watch quite a few. It's horrible to watch. Man, if you watch him play and you are frustrated with watching Vlahovic play, if you watch Hojlund play, you're kind of praying and hoping that Vlahovic is not leaving because his build-up play is worse. He bumps into players trying to shield the ball and somehow loses the ball every single time. It's shocking, and we are willing, or Giuntoli is willing, to spend close to 45, 50 million euros, something like that. It won't be cheap, no matter how poor Hojlund is going to be. It has been ever since his move. It's bad for business. It's bad for business. It's bad for a club. He's not a good player. I didn't like him at Atalanta when he scored 9 goals. I just don't like it. Now, what's interesting is that he's been followed by Giuntoli since he was at Napoli as well. So he has following him. He has been following him, which is with a lot of targets. And two, when we talk about, who's going to be the next coach, is it because we know it's going to be Gasperini or Hojlund or Conte, and that's what, the targets are. Otherwise, it's not really making any sense. Why would any club who have goal scoring issues like Juve will go for a player like Hojlund? That is actually insane. That's actually insane. Anyways, let me know what you think about Hojlund. But let's talk about Kolo. Now we're talking about strikers and goal scoring issues and who's going to be the number 9 and who's going to play, etc., etc. My thing with Kolo is, and the news is that they want to keep Kolo, but only if they can loan him again, and that's basically it. Maybe potentially loan him with an option that kicks in the next season. So when you pay PSG a little bit of money here and end up paying the big portion of the money in 2-3 years, whatever, But PSG want to sell. Now the interesting thing is Tottenham are still interested. Man U are still interested. Those clubs will pay. One of those club is selling us or trying to sell us Hojlund. The other club, Tottenham, spent a lot of money on Solanke, who has been injured basically the entire season, as far as I know, and they have Timo Werner still at the club. So a club will pay PSG for Kolo. A Premier League club. Now, will they get 60 million? Probably not. Nobody's gonna pay that, nor are we gonna pay that, nor should we pay that for Kolo, by the way. Now, is Kolo a player who wants to be the backup? Because if you sign Hojlund for that amount of money as the number 9, he's gonna play. Like the mindset is he's gonna play because you own him. If you loan Kolo again, you don't really own him. The idea is not to play him as the main guy, really. Like, let's be completely honest. Unless you want to use him on the wing, whatever, behind Hojlund, whatever you want to say. So even for his perspective, it's like, does he want to stay at Juve, knowing that maybe he's not going to be the main guy? And on top of that, at this stage of his career, not being owned by a club, just being on loan. Does he want to do that? So a lot of ifs, maybe, and buts. I'm okay with keeping Colomani, but on loan. I don't want the club to spend 50, 60 million on Colomani. I don't think that is very smart. From what I've seen of him, I have nothing against him, but that's not a player I want the club to spend 60 million euro on. If I'm being completely honest, that's not something I want to see happening during the summer. But maybe you guys are okay with the club spending 50, 60 million on Colomani. If so, let me know why you will be okay with that. Now, to wrap the new show off, it's Veiga, and it's an interesting one because from Mirko Di Natale, and that's why I say it's interesting, because he's always said there's nothing with Chelsea, there's not even idea, and so on. And right now, he changed it based on the news and the sources he got that we want to keep Veiga. Now, the loans are not including the Club World Cup for the players we have. So a lot of these players are leaving. You're going to go to the Club World Cup with, I don't know, even less players. It's weird, but that's the situation. However, Mirko Di Natale is saying that Juve and Chelsea are set to begin talks, which should be happening soon because the Club World Cup is in about 40 days or something, to extend his loan deal throughout the Club World Cup. So if we play the semifinal or we're out of the group stage, that he still will be at the club. And after that, they will try to intensify the contacts, pick it really up to secure a permanent deal. Now, when it comes to Veiga, is he a player I envision to play for a dominating, winning Juve side? No. To be honest, it's only Bremer in this squad, at the back. I'm talking about the back line, and Cambiaso, whatever is happening with his mindset. But, from center backs positions, for me, it's only Bremer. That's how I think about it. Now, that doesn't mean I expect us to sign 5 Bremers. I'm realistic. However, I need to sign a second Bremer. And with the second Bremer, I mean a player I know we're going to win shit with him for the next, 10 years. He's that good. He's that talented. Whatever. Do I think Veiga is that? No. Do I think Gatti is that? No. Do I think Kelly is that? No. Kalulu? No. I don't believe these players are at that level. So for me, it's a question of if Veiga is going to be the main signing and extending Gatti going into next season, I cannot be satisfied with Kalulu. I don't think that's good enough because I know Bremer will pick up an injury. I know Kalulu will pick up an injury. And then you are playing with Veiga and Gatti, who I do not rate, or Kalulu and Veiga. That's not good to be top again, in my opinion. That's my opinion. So when it comes to Veiga, if Chelsea comes with 40 million euros or something, just walk away because it's not worth it. In our situation, it's not worth it to spend money, a lot of money on players are not good enough to be the main guys. Or like I've not seen that from Veiga. And I have nothing against Veiga, to be honest, because I think he's been okay. But overall, I'm not sitting here and being like, wow, that's it. That's the guy who's going to be paired with Bremer for the next, I don't know how many years. Now, if we do that and he turns out to be that, fantastic. Even better. I hope I'm wrong. But right now, I don't have that feeling. So my fear is that we potentially might be ending up overpaying. So that's going to be interesting what's going to happen with Veiga. I know the fan base is split on that. So let me know what you think. How much should we spend on Veiga? Or are you on the side of spend nothing on Veiga and just move on? Anyways, let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow again, as always. Ciao.